Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to DAP, Don't Argue Podcast. Hope you guys are well. Before I get into it, just would like you guys to subscribe if you're new. I'm a Fremantle Dockers devout member, fan, sufferer, all that. But in saying that though, I'm going to give you guys my season preview of what I think we're going to be heading into for 2024, but also talking about some key points that I think have structured, I think more so during the mid-season of last year, especially during the end, and I think more so recently with our last two matches. Now, is it panic stations? No, not really. But at the same time, it is signs we need to be looking out for to prepare ourselves, so to speak. So in saying that though, before I get into it, DJ, hit that intro. Alright guys, I hope you guys are well. Thank you again for watching me. Appreciate it. DAP is going to be back regularly. So again, it's just about that consistency on my part. Anyway, we'll get into it. That's enough from me. Okay, so look, I've got a few things structured, for this channel, as I touched on just briefly. So expect that as well before we head into round one. Now, I think the first talking point I really want to bring up is the coach, right? Justin Longmuir. Now, we all know he's a coach that a lot of people like, and I think some people dislike. There's one thing though we can't take away from him. I think he's very poised. He's a very calm, collected, calm individual, and he's somebody with a good head on his shoulders. However, that doesn't necessarily win you games of footy, does it? As we've seen, he's statistically, I think he's just fallen under the 50% mark in terms of games since he's taken over the club. And in saying that too, at the same time, I think a lot of us, a lot of fans perceive him to be perhaps a bit too conservative. And then some other people see him as somebody who's actually the right one for us. We just need to gel. Now, quickly, Nat 5 had a recent interview where he spoke about the coach and he mentioned, well, at the end of the day, if Nat 5 prefers him. Just to paraphrase him, basically saying that if you're going to get rid of him, other teams are going to like that, because you've got to start again, reset, etc., etc. So I sort of see where he's coming from, but at the same time as well, I see those other people, fans in particular, who are wanting results because, as we know, AFL, whether you like it or not, is a results-driven business, right? So on the coach as well, for me personally, I think Justin Longmuir, look, annoying, sure, but I don't think a lot of this blame here needs to go down to him. It doesn't trickle to him necessarily. Sometimes we've got to look at the players, right? It's cliche, but I think it's both of them. But at the same time as well, I really think Justin Longmuir is the one for us, right? I do. Now, the reality is you can look at other coaches, but who would you have? It's a contract year for the coach. So it really is push and shove for him, really, right? But overall, my thoughts on him, I think he's the one for us, regardless of what people think. But I can understand where both parties are coming from. But, yeah. Sometimes the way he plays or structures, the team can leave us a little bit concerned and perhaps a little bit hacked off. So I do see where you're coming from. Now, as we know as well, during the off-season, we managed to do the draft and get some new players too. I'll touch on them just briefly, like so Sharp, Boss, McDonald, Murphy, Simpson, as well as Deline, right? So again, three of the latter players I mentioned were from the draft. Three of the former, obviously from just our play movement, trades, and obviously McDonald being from the VFL. Look, those players there do fill a void of some sort, whether that be for now or the future. But in saying that, though, I don't think there was too many movements, really. Again, that Lockie Schultz trade, right? That sucked. In all honesty, that sucked, considering the player he is. But it is what it is. I feel like we sort of dropped the ball there, so to speak. But you can only deal with what you have, right? Again, Sharp, I think he's looked a bit sharp, pun intended. The boss, so to speak. And McDonald, I like him there at defense, whereas the boss was a good forward. And I think I see him being a pivotal player for us, really. As for Murphy, Simpson, and Deline, well, these players here, I guess they will grow in their own. Obviously, Cooper Simpson as well, making a name for himself, right? And Deline as well. He'll get there. He will get there. I'm hearing some good things about him. All right. So I guess in saying that, we'll get straight into some burning questions I have. Nat 5. Nat 5 is the be-all, end-all for some people when it comes to Fremantle Dockers. Historically, statistically, He is the GOAT in my eyes. He's the greatest of all time. Some say Pavlich, right? I say Fife. But in saying that, and hey, I'm from SA myself, so there you go. Anyway, Fife is going to play an integral part of this team. The question is, though, how long will he play for? Some people say, running. Some people say stamina. Some people say strength. I'm saying availability, right? In terms of best ability is availability. And I'm sure we've heard that term thrown around before, but in Fife's case, it really is that. So what sort of role can he play? And obviously we all know he's going to be in the midfield. However, he sort of elaborated just briefly that if things sort of go well and his body holds up, he could be, to quote him, they could be a bit greedy, right? And then throw him here, throw him there. But in saying that, though, I just really want to see consistent minutes from that Fife. I think we all do. It is not necessarily a question of can he produce. We know he can. All right, we know he can. It's just his body, and even those games, those quote unquote bad games he's had for us in the past, during that, I suppose we're still in that injury period. Really, you've got to remember the psychology behind it all, right? The psychology is somebody who is still timid, somebody who's still a bit unsure whether his body can do this, can do that. So it is what it is. But the Fife we know now is the Fife we've all loved, regardless. He loves getting into contact. He loves the argy-bargy. And he's somebody who's not afraid to take a backward step, right? And I'm so encouraged by what I'm seeing by that Fife. And it's, how do I say this, ladies and gentlemen? Let's not take for granted the time we have with them, all right? As fans, right? Let's not take for granted. Because once this guy goes, oh, man. Anyway, I'll move on. Action Jackson, right? Luke Jackson, what's he going to provide? How does he provide it? What spark are we looking for? Obviously, he'll be the second ruck. Him and Sean Darcy. I really expect him and Sean Darcy to have not breakout season, sorry, but to have really stellar years this year. I just really am pointing towards them having a season to remember, right? I really think if these two here can combine, again, two talls, too big. A lot of people from the outside tease us, mock us for having, paid Jackson all this coin, but this guy's not even in his prime yet, and he's pulling out these ridiculous numbers, stats, etc. So you just know exactly what it's about, when it comes to Luke Jackson. But I really think this year he's going to show us and continue to grow and progress. But yeah, the reality is with Luke Jackson, it's still growth, it's still work in progress. But I see him being able to influence those around him, whether it be him sort of playing, half forward, bit of this, bit of that in the midfield, and obviously being in the full, in the forward pack as well. I really think he'll be able to bounce off the way he is, his professionalism, especially at such a young age, to other players as well. And I think another one as well to look at is the mids. Now, Fremantle, I think throughout our history, or for as long as I've been following them anyway, since 2018, we've been blessed with a plethora of mids, right? Good mids, usually. But in saying that, though, and again, you can't go off preseason, but, even last year, to be fair with you, it was good. In parts, it was good, but we just couldn't necessarily keep that consistency. So my question is really, can we keep the consistency? Can we continue to provide the get-go, because there are patches there where the pressure we deliver, especially when the opposition have the ball in hand, aka the game against Port, it's just poor. It is poor. It's not even worthy of a mention, right? Especially the quality of mids we have, the likes of Johnson, right? The likes of Erasmus, Brayshaw, Sarong. Do I need to carry on, right? Aish, Hayden Young now, right? So there's just a Cooper Simpson. So but you get what I mean. I could throw in O'Mara's name, may as well. But you get what I mean, yeah? So it's just, it's about trying to find that consistency. And for me, the mids in footy, in my opinion, is the engine room. And if they break down, then everything else is disconnected. They are the bridge that connects the backs to the forwards. And if they don't work, if they're not in sync, then everything else just falls to crap. So I really am hoping that the mids can go well this year. We need to apply pressure when the opposition have the ball. We need to be able to get there. We need to show a bit of guts, so to speak. We do. All right. Forward entries as well is just part of it. Again, last year, I think for mine, forward entries, it was just poor, abysmal. You got quality forwards, Amos, Jackson when he's there, Frederick, Tracy when he's on, right? When he's on, and potentially Voss, right? We've got to work from the mid. So again, the mids need to really crank it up. Jay Amos as well is another person I want to talk about just briefly. Again, he's the King's Crown, right? He's the King's Crown. He is who we're banking our future on, really, if you think about it, right? Most teams have a forward that they literally bank their games on, and I think Jai Amos is safely ours, especially with a few seasons under his belt. I see him scoring 50 plus goals this year. Is it a big task? Yes. No. Right? Yes. No. But he is pivotal, and I'm hoping that his transition and growth from last season to this season is day and night. In other words, I'm hoping it gets better, and we can see the progress he's continuing to make. Again, the likes of the forwards mentioned around him as well, all hopefully being able to work in unison with him, right? Because whether you like it or not, Jai Amos is the front and center in the forward pack. He is number one, numero uno. And so it's just all about everyone else sort of gelling with him. But a big season for Jai, and don't feel bad if you have high expectations for him, because I think he's got them for himself as well. That's just the reality. And I'm expecting some good things from Jai. Never miss Amos. And just quickly as well, the back line. Again, my thoughts on Alex Pearce being captain. Now, controversial stance, but it is what it is. I'm against him being captain, but he is. And so as fans, whether you like it or not, you just got to back him, right? It's what we do. It's what you do. So, again, the back line, the likes of, is Brendan Cox going to be fit enough as well? Hopefully he is by the time we take in the lines. But, the likes of Luke Ryan, Chapman, again, another Warrior. I heard he's off to Qatar. But again, just some of our key backs who are fighting, I think, injury more than they are the opposition. And it's just daunting, and it just sucks. And sort of all those things there kind of play in my head. But, Luke Ryan, Pierce, Clark, Brandon Walker, again, he's another person too. So, again, with our backline, I think it's the same thing as the midfield. It's just that consistency, but at the same time for them, I'm just hoping that we can get some fit, right, injury-free backs, please, Santa Claus, if you're there. You get what I mean. But again, if ideally, if we could have a fit assortment of players, it'll be very beneficial for us. But in saying that, I tip my hat off to McDonald, as I touched on before. I think he's somebody who will be putting up his hands to play, and somebody who can actually do a fair, decent job. But obviously, again, with Young moving from the back line to the midfield, it does leave up room for another defender. But at the same time, the pressure is almost there too, because Hayden Young's been pretty good at getting us out of trouble there at times. That's the thing about Young. We don't necessarily see it, but he loves the physical stuff. That dude's a physical guy. He'll run into it, you know what I mean? And we don't really see that, but he's got that beautiful left boot on him, and gets us out of trouble. But in saying that, we have Clark as well. But yes, again, just that back line. How will we hold up? I don't like the games where I've seen us get pummeled because our defense, our back line just hasn't been good enough. And we need to be good. We need to be good. Anyway, but that comes with injury too. Like, honestly, Chapman, Cox, Walker, if they could all come back, I would love it. You know what I mean? That's just it. All right, guys. So now we're going to move on to the fixtures, right? And I'm not going to necessarily go team for team. Maybe I am. Who knows? But the point is, I want to quickly just brush into the games that are. So we have the lines. Look, long story short, Fremantle. We come into the season, I suppose, as underdogs. We come to the season where a lot of people are tipping us to fall in the bottom four, really. Not even anywhere near the 8. The reality is that it's hard not to disagree, right? It's hard not to disagree. We're supposed to come into 2023 with so much expectation, and we dropped it. We dropped it in our first game, second game, third, etc., etc. Okay, so again, here we go. We got the Lions. We got the North Melbourne. We got the Crows straight after. Carlton, Port Adelaide, Eagles, Bulldogs, Richmond Tigers. Again, just to name some of those games there. It's so important that we win at least 80% of these games. And I'm actually going to be, just quickly as well, throughout the season, before I get into this, I actually plan to come to a few of these games live. I actually want to get to Optus Stadium live and watch one of the games in later rounds. I actually want to also, I'll be there, gather around when we versus Carlton, and I'm actually hoping to be able to get to the MCG as well as Alice Springs. So that's the plan anyway. This year is to attend 4 to 5 games live. So that's the plan. So we'll see what happens. But again, as you guys can see, here's a fixture there for you guys. I'll have it up there for you guys to see anyway. But the reality is, it's no easy task. I don't think there's any game we should walk into thinking it's going to be easy, especially the way we played last year. I don't care if it's the fact we have to play the D's twice, the Cats once, Port twice, Eagles twice, Swans twice, Pies once. The point is, we need to face every game this year with the sense that we're the underdog. Justin Longmuir just to quote him, said he's basically, this is the first time this year where he is actually confident that we can beat any team. I love a confident coach, but I almost want to pull the handbrake there, just a tad. Because goodness me, you look at these games, you get the more you scroll down, the more nervous you get, really, right? We start off big with the Lions, and then we ended off with Port. No game is easy. My own opinion, I firmly believe, despite my feelings and thoughts, I believe we can get there somehow. Okay, I believe that the Fremantle Dockers can actually get in there in the 8. I believe we can come in 8th place. We can just make it. Okay, and I suppose that brings me to my conclusion, right after all of this. You've seen the fixtures, no point talking about it too long. We all know what's happening, right? It's all about what happens in the first bounce, right? Round 1 is where it's at. But in saying that, the conclusion really is, despite a lot of the negative, I suppose, words and feelings about Fremantle heading into this season, particularly from the outsiders, right? Particularly from those who don't support Fremantle. I don't blame, maybe in the media as well. The reality is, it's a time where we need to come in and actually prove and show to people that we do belong, right? For the first time in a long time, you almost get the sense that Nat Pfeiffer's raring and ready to go, and you actually really want to be part of it. But not only that, you just actually want the players here to gel, to click, to connect. Now, as we sort of, again, come to the brink of it all, to the brink of the beginning of it all in round 1, and I still can't believe we play in 2 weeks' time, but it's just the way it goes, 17th of March, goodness. Anyway, I'm confident. I'm confident, and I believe that this group here of players do have what it takes. And I know there's going to be a few setbacks and a few drawbacks, and I get people are going to be narky and upset, but I am hopping on the wagon of we can, we will, and we're going to show it. Okay, so that is my point there. I am backing Fremantle Dockers to be to finish our season in the top 8. I get it almost doesn't. It's nonsensical, because if you look at I think the problems almost far outweigh the solutions in this case. But stranger things have happened, and to be fair with you, if Fremantle can walk into the 8 this year, especially in the contract year for Longmuir, I think it's actually a good sign, a good omen. But in saying that, though, that's just the way it goes. I dread to think of a long season where it's just rain and storm, right? For us as fans, I don't want another long season where we're just losing game after game, and then we're in the top 10 draft prospect again. I don't want to do that. Okay, I don't want to do that. I wish all the players that are donning on the Guernsey well. I wish them nothing but the best. Again, like I said, I hope to be there for 4 or 5 games. I'll be blogging, vlogging, all that just stuff there. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. But I thought I'll give you guys a thought anyway. Just something to chew on, to mull on, to think about. Just from my perspective. But in saying that, though, for your family, it's the end here. But thank you again for listening. And I hope you guys can subscribe and give me your thoughts. That's it. Check my Instagram, all that stuff there. Anyway, give me your thoughts. Take it easy. See you guys next time. Don't argue.